Hey everybody out there, it's Terry Wellbanks from Event Banks MMA and Warrior Fight Store Whitby. Today I just want to talk to you guys really quick about something that's been kind of on my mind. The story came out probably about 3 to 4 weeks ago with the Korean Zombie, aka Chan Sung Jung, aka the Korean Zombie, and Tri Coasta MMA Apparel. Now, Tri Coasta Apparel, if you guys don't know, created a cult-like T-shirt, an extremely popular T-shirt for the Korean Zombie. Now, this is one of the rare situations where I feel like a signature T-shirt has actually launched a fighter's career and not the fighters launching the T-shirt. Like George St. Pierre, when he does an Affliction shirt or the very first Affliction shirt, it kind of launched Affliction into the stratosphere where they were definitely sought after. They sold millions of units, and definitely George St. Pierre has helped Affliction. But there are certain cases where the actual T-shirt company and the design of a T-shirt has launched a fighter's career. And with the Korean Zombie T-shirt, I don't know if you guys have seen this shirt before. Basically, this is a different type of design of the Korean Zombie shirt, but this is the Twister T-shirt that Tri Coasta did for them. The Korean Zombie shirt itself, it has a zombie face in the middle. It says Tri Coasta on the sleeve. There's a barcode you can find on the back, or you just see the Korean Zombie logo on the back of the T-shirt at the top. This shirt was worn by Dana White, it was worn by Joe Rogan, and people really started to go after this shirt and look for this shirt. And many people who are new MMA fans found out who the Korean Zombie was actually through this shirt and who Chan Sung Jung was through this shirt. Not like the George St. Pierre shirt, where George St. Pierre was extremely popular. He had many shirts with Silver Star that did very well in Affliction. Now, what had happened is there's a story that came out where basically Tri Coasta has been kind of put in a situation where they're made out to look like they didn't pay the Korean Zombie. Now, I'd like to just state for the record that there is absolutely no way that Tri Coasta just wouldn't pay somebody or pay somebody that is sponsored. You can ask many of the fighters that they do sponsor, Tom Lawler, Geeman. There's so many guys out there that they do sponsor, and everybody's been paid. And the reason why these guys get paid is because they actually show up for work. If you have a job and you don't show up for your job, or you don't show up for your shift, or you don't show up and fulfill your side of the obligations, you can't really feel like you should be paid. And what had happened is, as a fighter, when you get sponsored by a clothing brand, in your contract, if they request you need to be there for signings, or they request you need to be there to do photo shoots, or you just have to mention the brand in some of your tweets, or you have to put a Facebook post about it, something very small, and there may be a list of 20 or 30 of these obligations. But if you sign a contract to a company, you're expected to actually come through with that, especially if the other company is coming through on their end of the designing of amazing T-shirts for you. They're promoting you. They're helping to promote your branding and you as a fighter. I think that it's your obligation to fulfill your end of the bargain on that side of it. And if they request for you to do a signing, or if they request you to do something, you should show up. And if you don't show up, you shouldn't be expected to be paid. Now, there's probably, I don't know the total ins and outs of this situation, but I can tell you that as a fighter who is now saying that this brand isn't paying them when they have hundreds of other good reports and good claims based on the fact that they have been paid from other fighters, you have to think that there's something fishy here. Now, the Korean Zombie, his manager, who isn't actually even his manager, is the one that kind of came to the forefront on this and released this story saying that Tri Coasta was deficient and not paying. And what you need to realize is that maybe Tri Coasta and Chan Sung Jung had an agreement, and not only did Chan Sung Jung not live up to the agreement, but he didn't come through on half of the things that he said he was going to come through. And if I was Tri Coasta, I wouldn't be paying them. There are guys out there that work extremely hard for their sponsors. Shane Carwin, his profile pictures are normally his sponsorship T-shirts. He's worked with many brands. He's never had a bad example. And this guy has a career outside of fighting. He also fights. He's also rehabbing. And he takes time to make sure that his sponsors are well known. And there are a lot of brands out there that work extremely hard for these guys, and they get very, very little in return. And I think that if you're a fighter athlete and you want to be paid by a sponsor and you want a sponsor to work with you, you in turn should be doing just as much work for them when you're not in the cage fighting, by supporting the brand, by sponsoring, by putting your name to your T-shirt, putting yourself out there and letting them know that you are involved with such brands. And I just think that it's absolutely absurd to assume that Tri Coasta just didn't pay him because they didn't feel like paying him. Tri Coasta would pay any athlete that they sponsor, and any other brand should be paying any brand that they sponsor, as long as the athlete's coming through on their end of the bargain. and I just feel like you should definitely come through on your end of the bargain. And if you don't know the whole story, you really shouldn't be saying that the Korean Zombie, you know, they didn't pay him without knowing the full story. And if you don't know the full story, then you shouldn't be saying anything about it at all. So my take on it is the Korean Zombie, you know, maybe he hasn't been paid, and maybe he hasn't been paid for his full contract, but you also have to understand that maybe he didn't live up to his end of the bargain as well. There are two sides to every story in every situation, and you definitely have to look at Tri Coasta's side before you can just go on saying that, you know, he wasn't paid. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching the video and taking the time. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Michael Chandler and the crew, Adrian, Randall, everybody over at Bellator. They really took care of me this weekend. I got to sit real close. What a show that was some amazing fights. Ryan the Real Deal Ford came through. Big ups to him. Street Soldier sponsored him for that fight. I bet you he got paid because he lived up to his obligations. Vicious, they signed Santos. They lived up to their end of the bargain. And the whole thing is that all these Canadian brands that I always talk about, they always live up to their end of the bargain. And there are so many sponsors out there that don't live up to their end of the bargain, but I can tell you Tri Coasta lives up to their end, and they pay all their fighters, especially if they put in the work and if they live up to their obligations. So hopefully if you're a fighter athlete and you're watching this, you're going to live up to your end of the obligations. And if you're a sponsor, if the fighter lives up to your obligations, pay the guys or girls for sure. You definitely want to make sure you pay them. So thank you guys so much. I hope you look forward to the next video, and please stay tuned. June 3rd, in store, Mark Hominick, Sam Stout, Chris Hordecki, 12 to 2 p.m. Come in and check them out. Thank you guys so much. Talk to you soon.